Hey guys, it's Kat and I'm back today to do my empties. So this is empties of like March, April, end of March, early April. So essentially empties is just a way that I can look back at the products I used up in the past month or so and give you guys a quick review on what I think about the product after I've used it entirely. So that's the plan. That's what we're doing today. But before I do get into the empties, I thought I would just mention quickly what's on my face because by the time I edit this, I'll probably forget to put in the description box and whatnot. Everything is Project Pan stuff, except I've put the Stargirl Super Shock Shadow from Colourpop, just tapped it on top of my Project Pan eyeshadows. And the lipstick I'm wearing is from Charlotte Tilbury. Charlotte Tilbury, it's called So Marilyn. I've just blotted it down a little bit because it's quite shiny. And I am wearing half lashes from Bouquet Beauty. They're Dante lashes cut in half. So that is what I'm wearing. Everything else is Project Pan. Being very good with my Project Pan. I'm so proud of myself. I will have some Project Pan stuff that I'm talking about in here, but I also have to be mindful to keep aside the things I've already used up for my next checking, because I think there is one or two things that I have already used up. Also in this month's basket, I do have some sheet masks, but what I'm actually going to do, because I've been pretty good at trying to use some sheet masks lately, I'm going to actually put them to the side because when I get like 30 sheet masks, I want to let you know what I think about them in its own video. What I did this month was I had to clean out my bathroom and sort of declutter things, and I organized all my sheet masks and I realized I got like probably approaching 100 and I use like one a month. So I'm trying to be really good at using maybe one every 2 days or one every 3 days and writing a quick note on what I think about it so I can then do a video on it. So I'll pull those out as well. Oh, and if anyone's wondering where the cats are, they are actually here. They're just hidden under a blanket because, boop, it's cold. I'm sorry, beautiful boy. I'll put you back under. There we go. All right, so I've actually used up a lot of skincare this month, and there's sort of two reasons for it. One, like I said, I was organizing my bathroom. I was taking inventory. I had everything out. Things that were sort of getting old or like half used, I had them out and I was like, I need to focus on these. Also, what I've been doing, because I'm currently, as I'm filming this, 39 weeks pregnant. My God. I have been the last month or so, if there's any like serums or anything that I am not enjoying using on my face, I've started using them on my body because my body has gone through lots of trauma as it does. So what I've sort of decided to do was I put like body lotion on or a body oil on twice a day, but sometimes prior to that I'll put like a serum or something on. So that's what I've been doing. So there is a lot of skincare here that's been used up. Also, I've been trying to, I've like taken all my little samples and stuff out, and I am trying to work through samples as well. So there's a couple of samples in here. So it's quite inflated this month. Two things that I did use quite organically. One is not completely used up, but I thought I may as well talk about these together. So I grabbed this out of my bathroom. I've used up 2 Tatcha moisturizers. Now I have had these in my bathroom for, I think this one I might have started at the start of the year or in December. And this one I had probably prior to that. So this one I used up first. This is the Dewy Skin Cream. And this was the first Tatcha product that I tried. It was a nice moisturizer that was this like slightly purple tint. Had a really nice sort of like fresh, almost lemon herbal scent, but very, very light. I really liked this as a moisturizer. I think it did a good job at like hydrating my skin without it feeling too heavy, because I do find that some really thick moisturizers are too oily on my skin. But this was really, really nice. My problem with this is that they're so expensive that it's really hard to sort of want to justify buying another one. And you have to question, is a nice moisturizer worth this price tag? I don't know, but it was very enjoyable. So I would consider repurchasing this, but at the same time, I'd probably look for it in like a gift pack or on sale or something because it is ridiculously expensive, but it did last me a long time. Like I think this lasted me probably a good solid 6 months of nightly use. So I can't complain about it too much. It did last the distance, But yeah, very, very expensive. The next thing that I'm nearly finished is the Silk Cream. This is one that I sort of started using during the day. And once again, I think I started using this in December, maybe early January. And it is nearly done. So I probably have a couple applications left, but I thought I'd just show it to you before, because I thought I'd talk about them together. This one is a little bit different. This is less of, it's definitely a moisturizer, but it's almost like a gel moisturizer hybrid. So instead of it being, it's quite translucent, and it's very, very hydrating, which is nice. So it gives you like a nice layer of product, but it doesn't feel oily or heavy, or it just feels like it's really sort of like a thicker gel like a gel moisturizer hybrid that really helps hydrate, which is great because I do have oily skin, but I have dehydrated skin. So I do want some level of moisture, but I don't want it to be heavy oils, if that makes sense, or creams. So this was a really nice product. I can't pinpoint what the scent is, but again, it wasn't too overwhelming. It wasn't too in your face. It was sort of like a pleasant experience. Some people don't like any fragrance in skincare products. I personally think if it adds to the experience, I do quite like it, and as long as I don't react to it. I don't know which one I like most out of these two. I think they're both quite nice. This was a little bit lighter. This was a little bit more of a, I don't know, more traditional moisturizer. They were both nice, but the problem is that they're both very expensive. So I delved into them, I tried them, I appreciated them, I squirreled them away. I used them sort of like slowly over a long period of time, but would I run out to repurchase them tomorrow? No, because they're too expensive, but if I did see them on sale or in a pack, I would definitely consider purchasing them because they're very nice but very bougie moisturizers. One thing I forced myself to use up and I did not really enjoy, and this is why I forced myself to use it. Again, it's quite bougie, but I don't think this is worth the money. With the Tatcha products, it's sort of like borderline. If I had the money and I was sort of feeling quite spendy, I would consider buying it again if I really sort of missed it. Whereas with this, I don't think it's worth the money at all and I wouldn't recommend it. This is the Farsali Hydration Bae. It's essentially a mask. And what it was like a gel mask with these little balls. So these little blue balls. I've got a couple in here left to show you. So it looks like this. And what you're supposed to do, so it's just in like a hydrating jelly base, and what you're supposed to do is put it on your skin and try to put it on without popping the balls, which is quite hard to do. And you're supposed to leave it on like a hydrating mask, and then what you do is you after about 10 or 15 minutes you rub it in, the balls pop and they release an oil, and then it turns into more of like a priming type serum product. Now for me, I didn't think this did much. I actually feel like this sort of product did better for hydration. This just felt like it added a nice layer of hydration to the skin, whereas this sort of just felt like it added a gel. It didn't really feel like it did much to my skin personally. So I also didn't like the process of having to like dot it on and hope you don't break the balls, leave it on and then break the balls. I didn't really feel like there was much benefit to that. So the way I used this was I literally just scooped a bunch out. I rubbed it in my hands, rubbed it on my face as like an overnight mask serum type step, put it down my neck, put it on my chest, on my shoulders. I put it wherever I could spread it. And I just used it sort of like a serum. So that's how I used it. I didn't like it. Again, I didn't see any like major results. I thought it was sort of more gimmicky than beneficial. The balls did look cool when they're all in the jar, like they're just like a blue caviar type thing. So I think it sort of will suck you in because it looks cool, but for me, I didn't see the benefit of it. I used it to use it up. All right, on to products that I used on my body, and there is a few, and there's still a lot on the go because, you know, I'm consistently trying to use a bunch of products on my body. The first thing I want to mention was this sort of moisturizer stick. So it is by the brand Shore Soap Company, and it's a cranberry butter moisturizer stick. This was an interesting product. I think my only dilemma with it was that I went through it really, really quickly, but again, I was almost overusing it. I would put it on sort of like morning and night, and I would put a lot of it on, and then I would sort of really moisturize it or massage it in. So this for me only lasted about 2 weeks, but it's pretty much a stick that you wound all the way up, and you can see that it's got like a butter in there, and I might actually dig that out and try to use it because it was quite a nice butter. It was quite greasy, but again, it's a body butter. It's not designed for your face, so it didn't really bother me. It's got a bunch of oils in it, like sweet almond oil, shea butter, etc, etc. But to me, it mainly smelled like, yeah, like almond oil or coconut oil. Sort of smelled like coconut oil. So it was, yeah, it was an oil. I quite like the dispensing mechanism though, because if you weren't using this all over your stomach like I was, this actually worked really nicely on your legs. So what I'll do was I'll just rub it up and down my legs and then sort of like warm it in. And it was a really nice sort of easy way to not get too messy with a like really sort of oily body butter. But again, yeah, this is something that I don't mind. I think I was actually gifted this from a subscriber, I think, because I can't think of where I would have got this otherwise. But yeah, it's a nice product. It worked well. My only concern is I went through it really quickly, and the sort of product is quite soft. Like, it's actually not a warm day today, but you can see that you can just press on it and it sort of like moves. So it's a very, very soft butter. I would have liked it a bit firmer because I would have felt like maybe it wouldn't have dispensed as much, or as it would go a bit further and last a bit longer if it was a little bit firmer. Of course, you could like store it in the fridge, but I'm not about that life. If I store something in the fridge, it's never going to be used. But yeah, I didn't mind it, but I wouldn't like seek it out again, if that makes sense. If I had one in my life again, I would happily use it. And again, I really like this sort of on your arms or legs. You just sort of go line down there and then just sort of rub it in, and it just worked quite easily, but I went through it really, really fast. The rest of these products are actually face products that I used on my face and body to get through them pretty quickly. So the first one is the Eco by Sonya Driver. This is the Glory Oil. So this is a mixed oil, and it's supposed to be really good for your face and neck and wherever you need to. And I think it's supposed to also be really good at like reducing scars. Now, I actually have had this in my collection for about a year now. I have used it on my face. It is quite a heavier oil. I like oils that sort of sink into my skin pretty quickly because I do have oily skin, so rosehip really works for me, but these sort of heavier oils, I sort of feel like they just sort of sit on my skin a bit. So I had this half finished, and I thought I'll just use the rest of it on my body, and then also as I use it on my body, I'll use it on my face. So that's what I've been using earlier. I think it was late March I was using it. I also used up this primarily on my body. This was the Freck Lil Prick Cactus Seed Dry Serum. So Freck are known for, it's like a faux freckle product, but they also have a bunch of skincare products. I think they're mainly based around cactus. Now, I didn't mind this oil. So it is like a, you know, it's a cactus seed dry serum oil, so it wasn't too heavy or thick. The only thing about it was I really didn't like the scent. It had like almost like a white floral scent to it, and I just found it a little bit lingered, and it's not a scent that I really vibe with. So even though I didn't mind this product as an oil for my face, I just didn't enjoy using it because I didn't like the scent. So I ended up using it on my body. So that was, yeah, there's a little bit left, but you can see it's like a oil serum. Product that I actually did like, but I just didn't really use it much on my face because I didn't need it. If I had any areas where I sort of needed it, like I've got sort of like a dermatitis spot here and it's popping up here as well. This is something that I might put on, but I thought it would be better used on my body. This is from Indeed Labs, and it's the 10 balm or the 10 balm, I'm not sure. But essentially it's an intensive cream that helps to soothe and repair skin using a unique blend of nature's 10 most powerful healing ingredients. So it's like a healing sort of moisturizer product. And I did like this. This was really nice on the skin. I liked using it on my stomach. If I could buy this in a massive tube, I would. So this is probably one that I would repurchase. I mainly use this on my stomach because I thought that's where it would be most beneficial at this point in time. But I did like it. It would be one that, like, if I had, you know, dry patches or something, it'd be one that I'd consider getting again in the future. A serum from Fourth Ray. This is the Raydiate Vitamin C Elixir. So this was essentially a biphase serum. So it had like an oil and a serum, and they had vitamin C in it. And again, it was one that I'd used on my face. I didn't think it really did much. It is a very affordable vitamin C product, and generally they aren't very effective. So I thought I'd use this on my body before I went in with an oil. So yeah, I wouldn't repurchase this again. I think this is probably a good like introductory range for teenagers and stuff getting into skincare. But if you're in your 30s like me and you need something a little bit more active, doesn't do it, but my body didn't hate it. All right, some randoms before I get into Project Pan products. I used up this Electric Ink Tattoo Care Vibrancy Serum. Oh, is that what was leaking and making my Project Pan container gross? Maybe this. So this is supposed to enhance and maintain the pigment and clarity of ink. Now I did get this at a showcase a couple of years ago. Now I do like the concept of this. I find body serums are really hard to find, and pretty much the theory is that since it does have some actives in it, so it's got Inca Inchi oil, Liftenin, I don't know what that is, Liftenin Expert, it's got vitamin C, it's got amino acids. So what this is supposed to do is help your skin like get rid of like dead skin cells and whatnot to show the color of tattoos a lot more vibrantly. Now, I did have a few people ask if I could test this out. Problem is that my tattoos aren't super faded. So unless I only put this on half a tattoo to test it, it was sort of hard to do. So I sort of used it for a while. It went in the back of a cupboard, and when I was sort of cleaning out my cupboard the other week, I found it and thought I'd use it. I do think it makes your skin really nice and soft. So again, I like the idea of skincare that has like actives in it for your body, because often you'll just find moisturizers that are just there to like moisturize and make you feel more comfortable, but they're not actually there to help your skin. So I like the idea of this. I just don't know if it worked. So I wouldn't repurchase this, but yeah, I like the idea of it. I used up my lashes. These are my Rock W376s. I love them. I'm not wearing them today, but I've got probably about 50 of them as backups because I love them that much. So yes, I have repurchased those. Look, times have changed. Last month, I remember talking about one of these. It was a Bath and Body Works. I had a little like hand sanitizer, and I was like, I'm not the kind of person that uses hand sanitizer, blah, blah, blah. But I've had it in my bag, and, you know, to protect my immune system since being pregnant, I was using it. And ever since then, all of a sudden a pandemic hits, and you sort of need hand sanitizer wherever you go. And that's like the one thing that is like out of stock worldwide. So I ended up using another one that I had. This is the last one that I've got. I do have another hand sanitizer that's almost finished in my handbag. I'm like squirreling it away, but this was the Mary Cookie antibacterial hand gel. This was very fragranced. It was very strong, like biscuity sort of scent, but yeah, it was handy in a pinch. But I am going to have to try to refill this, so I'm going to keep the container. What I did end up doing, and this is going to lead on to my next empty, is I used up the last of, we had some isopropyl alcohol. This was a high concentration of isopropyl alcohol, and we use this in like, we've been using it for the last like 3 years in the makeup breakup to repress makeup, to wipe down tables, to do all that kind of stuff. Also, we use this in like nail polish. So if you do gel manicures, you know, you got the sticky sort of top coat that you need to wash off afterwards, and alcohol, you know, gets rid of it. So pretty much I had a tiny bit left in here. It's about half a cup. And what I ended up doing was mixing it with aloe vera gel just to make like a DIY hand sanitizer. So this is now done. Probably wouldn't repurchase it in this big container. This was a bulk thing that Haley had, and yeah, we used for work purposes. I would probably buy isopropyl alcohol in a smaller bottle just for my personal uses, but yeah, handy. Used up some cotton pads, so I mainly these days use these for nail polish removal. I did buy some usable bamboo pads for my face, but still need these for my nail polish, so I have them and I have repurchased them. One thing I want to talk about that I don't normally talk about, because I go through a lot of like basic things like soap and deodorant and stuff that I never actually talk about in my empties. But I want to talk about this one because it's kind of weird and strange. So this is from the Chemistry brand, which is a brand under Decium, who also owns or makes The Ordinary and whatnot. So this is a deodorant and it's called the Inhibitif deodorant. So it fights odor and the look of hair regrowth. So this is supposed to be a deodorant that stops you from actually growing much hair. I don't know if it did that. One thing I found strange about this deodorant, it had a really nice sort of almost lemongrassy, minty scent, but it tingles your underarms for a really long time. So I feel like it is doing something, but I don't think I enjoy it. So yeah, I haven't had a lot of underarm hair, but I also don't have heaps. So I don't know if it did inhibit the growth of hair. They do have some other products like body products that's supposed to inhibit the growth of like leg hair and whatnot. But I just found this sort of tingle that was lingering I didn't love. So I like the smell. It wasn't the best at controlling odor, but it also wasn't the worst that I've tried. So I probably wouldn't repurchase this, but it was interesting. A couple of empties ago, I talked about using up some vitamin D tablets because I am vitamin D deficient and I take vitamin D daily. Also have been taking Elevit daily. So this is a pregnancy vitamin and I've been taking it for 9-ish months now and I've got one sleeve to go. So I thought I'll talk about it now. Yes, does it work? Probably. It's got a lot of vitamins for pregnancy support. It's recommended by the doctors. Very expensive. Have to go through a few of these. I think maybe this is the third one I've gone through, but it's the final one. So hooray. Yes, wouldn't repurchase on a daily basis, but it did its job, I hope. Before I get on to Project Pan products that I finished in my last Project Pan check-in, I want to talk about some samples that I've been forcing myself to use. So the first one is the Perricone MD Nutritive Cleanser. I did not like this. I usually really like Perricone MD products. Oh, that smells really bad. What the fuck? What happened to that? That smells like farts. That is disgusting. Something happened to that. Anyway, I didn't like this. It's pretty much a gel cleanser that had no foaming action and smelled very strongly of baby powder, which normally I don't hate, but it was just not very nice. It didn't feel like it removed any like grime or stuff because it didn't actually have a lather of any sort. It just felt like a gel that you put on your face. Smells like baby powder and now it smells like farts and I don't like it, so you're dead to me. I also used up some primer samples. So we've got the Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer. I don't mind this. I mainly like it because it's got SPF in it and does make your skin feel quite smooth, but I don't think it really, I think on me it doesn't really, I think it might actually like reduce the wear of my foundation, but I don't mind it. But I just wouldn't really purchase it. I also have the Inglot. This is the Mattifying Under Makeup Base. I didn't hate this, but I didn't love this enough to want to purchase it. But one thing I can say is that it's a mattifying base that doesn't leave your skin. Like I've tried mattifying primers before that leave like a chunkiness almost, like a thick layer on your skin that's hard to put makeup over or makeup balls over it. This one I didn't feel like it did that, but I only used it twice, so who knows. The last sample is this, and I've got probably about 15, 20 of these. We got like a big like chunk of them as samples from a YesStyle order, but it's from Secret Key and it's a lemon sparkling peeling gel. So essentially what this is, it's one of those exfoliating products that sort of ball up. It's really weird. So they're saying it's refreshing carbonated water and lemon, remove impurities and exfoliate for bright, healthy looking skin. So essentially what it is, it's a gel. You put it on after you've actually washed your face and dried your face. You put it on and you sort of just work it in and it will start peeling on itself. Doesn't remove the dead skin cells. It just sort of removes the oils left on your face and it actually balls on itself. And it's also got sort of like chemical exfoliants in there, so it's an exfoliator. I do find that this did leave my skin really, really soft. So I've got a whole bunch of these. I'm going to keep trying to use them throughout the next month or two, and they do give a good result. Don't be fooled by the balling and thinking that's your skin, like removing the skin. It's not, but it does give you that sort of gentle exfoliation as well as the chemical exfoliation, and it does leave your skin feeling nice. So I've got more of these. I will continue to use them. And if I really, really like using them, I'll probably buy a tube of it. One issue that I have is that you've got to put it on clean skin. So it's one of those steps you have to do after you get out of the shower or after you've washed your face. And I often forget to do these types of products afterwards. They're the kind of things that I would do before I jump in the shower, like you do a big scrub or something, you put on a mask, then you jump in the shower. But the fact that you got to wash your face and then dry your face, then put this on and wash your face and dry your face again, it's a step that I often forget about. But besides that, it does work pretty well. All right, onto the empties that I used up from my last check-in of my project pan. Do we have a cat that's trying to move? No? What are you doing stretching? What are you doing? You got stretchy hands. Come on, stretchy hands. Let me get this out. What are you doing, cheeky boy? All right, onto the products that I used up in my last project pan check-in. So I did use up quite a few products, and here is where I tell you what I think about the products. Firstly is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. This was the wrong shade for me, so it was really hard to sort of enjoy using. I don't mind the formula. I think it's pretty standard, like it's got decent coverage, it wears all right. I think it can make my skin look really, really good, or there's days where it doesn't look the best. Like, it just depends. Some days it looks fantastic and I get compliments on like, what foundation are you wearing? And other days it was sort of like just not sitting right. So it's one that I probably wouldn't take the risk with again. But I did find that if I mixed it with a Shiramura foundation that's lighter, I had really good foundation days. I went into Mecca one day and someone was like, oh my God, what's your foundation? It's great. And I'm like, it's L'Oreal, which, like, it's funny. It's like going into a higher end store and telling them that you're using like drugstore crap. But I understand why people like this. I think there's a time and place for it. I think if you've got normal skin, you'll like it the most. I think it's got nice coverage. But sometimes it just didn't wear the best on me. Sometimes it didn't sit the best on me. So it was a little bit temperamental. So I probably wouldn't repurchase it for that reason, but it can give a really, really beautiful result. So I'll give it that. I used up the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. This was not a bad powder. I don't mind loose powders. I need to set my foundation. I like mattifying powders. So this was a nice powder. For a drugstore powder, it was fine. It had 20 grams in there, so it's a pretty substantial powder. I do like a maybe slightly more refined powder because since I am getting older, I find that I need something a little bit smoother on the skin. But it did its job, and if I saw it on sale, I wouldn't not buy it again. I would consider buying it again, but I don't need powder. So didn't love it, but I didn't dislike it either. Used up the Smashbox Photo Finish Minimize Pores Primer. Now this is an interesting one because I really like Smashbox primers, but this one, again, similar to the foundation, it was sort of, some days it was really good, other days it wasn't the best. I think in summer this was the best for me because it is a pore filling primer that mattifies and sort of keeps your oils at bay. But then I found that as it was sort of getting a little bit cooler, this sort of sometimes made foundation sit a little bit chunky looking on my skin. So I like a lot of Smashbox primers. This is probably my least favorite that I've used. But again, I think it's got a time and place, and it can work really well. If you've got really oily skin, you might really like this, but I found that sometimes it created products to ball up on top of it, or like at least sit a little bit chunky, which I don't love. So it was a little bit temperamental for me to want to repurchase, but it wasn't bad. I think in terms of sort of those silicone pore filling primers, I think it was pretty decent. But yeah, I just probably wouldn't repurchase it because it was a little bit temperamental. All right, I used up this spray from Dermalogica. It's an antioxidant hydra mist. Essentially, this was just like a hydrating mist. I used it up on my face, I used it on my chest, and it was just a nice sort of hydrating mist. Right now, it's got my DIY hand sanitizer in it. So that's what's in it right now. I didn't mind it. I just didn't, I felt like this was, look, I don't use toning mists. It's just not a step in my routine that I use, so I had to force myself to use this. I tend to use more mists over makeup or under makeup when I'm at my computer and I'm doing my makeup and I'm watching my YouTubes. But when it comes to skincare, mists I forget to use. So I wouldn't repurchase it just because it's not something in my routine that I would remember to use. And that's why this was sitting in my collection for so long, and that's why I had to put in my project pan to remind myself to use it. All right, I also used up my Kiehls Youth Dose Eye Treatment. So this is a pro-retinol red grapeseed extract with vitamin C. So this is just pretty much like an under eye sort of product. This was interesting because it had the consistency almost of a silicone primer. So it did feel like it filled in sort of like lines and whatnot. And I think it can be a really nice product. I just don't use eye creams too often. So the way I sort of had to force myself to use this was almost like a primer. So I used it sort of under my eyes, in my sort of T-zone, like here where I've got some like lines and whatnot. And I just used it almost like a under makeup primer. So once again, I don't think this is a bad product at all. It's just not a product that I use in a daily routine, so I wouldn't personally repurchase it. Second last thing is by Lancome. This is the Intense Highlighter Shimmery Dewy Glow. This is like a highlighting liquid product. This I didn't love. I had some hard times with it. I had some okay times with it. As a liquid highlighter on top of makeup, it just mixed with my, like it just lifted my foundation. So I didn't like it. As a base, it wasn't too bad depending on the foundation I used it under. I prefer to use this mixed in with the foundation to add a little bit of luminosity to like a matte finish foundation. But I did find that again, this depends on what you mix it with. Some foundations, it would make apply really streaky, and it did not work well with this one, I can assure you that. It just made it streaky and sort of like watery and not sit well. With other foundations, it added a nicer bit of like illumination to it. So I wouldn't repurchase this because I found, again, it was too finicky, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it made things worse and I had to remove my makeup. So yeah, I didn't like that. Last thing is a mini Anastasi Beverly Hills clear brow gel. I do like this product. I do have a full size. I feel like it's a cleared brow gel that really does set your brows in place, which is nice. It doesn't make them too crunchy, but it does work. So I do like it, and I do have a large size. So there we go. So those are the empties for the last month or so. There's quite a lot of them. I will list the products in the description box if you missed any names. But essentially this month there was a lot of stuff going on. Firstly, I cleaned out my cupboards and pulled out a lot of products that I wanted to focus on that were either getting old or half used or whatever it was. I was also dedicating to using a lot of like face products that I didn't enjoy on my body. And also it was like the 3-month check-in for my project pan. And I find that that is often a time where you use up a lot of products. So there was a lot that was used up this month, but I think next month there won't be as many. So, you know, may as well make hay while the sun shines. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.